Welcome to my channel where we cover the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. We cover the stories both big and small, the epic and the cute, the silly and the tragic. I hope you all enjoy the ride, and welcome to the Chronicler of Lore. The next time the Warrior of Light heads to Eorzea to check on Jinlins, the man has something for you. It's an invitation to join a tournament at the Colosseum. The tournament is called the Ul Cup, which was started by Sasagon Ul Sisagon, the very first Sultan of Eorzea, so it's a tournament that's as old as the nation itself, but it hasn't been held in years. The Sultana started it up again, and she sent out invitations to Eorzea's best swordsmen, which obviously meant you get an invitation because who wouldn't want to see you fight? Jinlins is all for you competing because the other members of the Sultan Sworn could learn a lot by seeing you in action. Not to mention the prize is said to be a tome that has the secret techniques of the first captain of the Sultan Sworn, so that has drawn out a lot of great fighters. So, since you're going to compete, you have to go and head to register before it's too late. When you show your invitation, Bartholomew, one of the Sultan Sworn, gets really excited that he might get to fight you. I guess getting beat up by somebody you idolize is a prize for some people. Personally, if someone who fights gods joins a tournament that I'm in and I'm just a regular named guy, I'd probably withdraw so I could keep my dignity and my teeth. But it's too late for that now because the tournament is about to start, so you head to the Gladiators Guild where the combatants are waiting. Mila, the leader of the Gladiators Guild, is happy to see that you're doing the guild proud by competing, but it won't be as easy as you might think. Some of the best fighters in the realm are there, and they've done a lot to earn their reputations. The rules are pretty simple. If you win, you advance. If you lose, then you're out. You keep fighting one-on-one matches until there's only one person left standing. The fighters are broken into two groups, gnawed and thawed, and they fight until they reach the top of their particular group. Then the champions face off against one another. It's pretty simple. After Mila explains everything, the opening ceremony begins. Nanamo, the Sultana, gives the opening speech, announcing that it's been 100 years since the last Ul Cup, and she's decided to revive it, and all of the money that it generates will be used to help all of the refugees living in Eorzea. When Nanamo's speech is done, Adrian, a writer for the Mithril Eye, talks about the different contestants. There's going to be everything from Sultan Sworn to Ishgardian Knights fighting, so the preliminary matches are going to be intense. They're breaking the contestants into groups of 8, meaning you'll have to win 3 fights to make it to the finals, and your very first match is against Bartholomew. The guy was looking forward to fighting you, and while he's happy to test himself against you, he's a bit upset that he's going to get eliminated in the first round because, let's be honest, he's going to lose. The man's not bad, which makes me understand why he wanted to test himself on you, but not bad still puts him way beneath you, so of course you win your first round and get to go on to fight the Bronze Bull, a gladiator who's put a lot of work into his swordsmanship. But he still loses too. Next you go up against Hendeloop from Ishgard. The knight pulls off some techniques that members of the Heavens Ward had used against you, but you beat them, and this time it's no different. You take him down, putting yourself at the top of the Thal group and earning your spot in the finals. Apparently some very strange looking Lalafellan bet a lot of money on you, and they're extremely happy that you won. Bartholomew and your other competitors aren't upset over their losses either, and they plan on taking that fight and learning from it along with the rest of your tournament matches. Also, it seems like Mila was looking for you, so you go to see what she wanted. The woman is proud of you for winning, and she's looking forward to finally getting across blades with you, after she wins her division, of course. You go to watch the matches to see what you'll be up against, and apparently Constantine is in the tournament too. And he won against the local favorite, meaning he hasn't been skipping out on his training since the last time you saw him. Of course, after that he gets to fight Mila and gets thoroughly stumped because a few months of training wouldn't give the young paladin the skill he needs to beat the leader of the Gladiators Guild. After beating Constantine, Mila gets to face off against a mystery fighter called Black Lotus, who is apparently pretty good. Actually, he's better than pretty good. He manages to beat Mila, something that nobody expected, and makes it to the final, which means he's your opponent for the championship match. Ode, one of the Lalafell who was betting on the fights, is not happy that Mila lost, because it means he lost a lot of money. His companion is even more nervous than he is because if Black Lotus beats you, then the two of them may very well lose everything, which is why you shouldn't gamble. Unless of course you rig the game, which Ode apparently has. The man seems to know how to get to the Lotus, and whatever he's planning he's already set it in motion. Mila's not happy that she lost, but the way the Lotus fought reminds her of someone else. She's not a sore loser though, so she doesn't make any excuses for a defeat. She just wants you to make sure that you win. Also, the Lotus told her that he wanted to talk to you, and he spoke like he knew you. But let's be honest, at this point, who doesn't know you? He's waiting for you at the quicksand, so you swing by to see what he wants. When you make it to the tavern, you catch sight of a Lalafell trying to convince the Lotus to withdraw from the fight. At first the man refuses, but when the Lalafell tells him something that you can't hear, the man's response implies that he might be forced to do what Ode demands. When Ode leaves, the Warrior of Light asks if anything she can do to help, but the Lotus says he can handle it. But this little meeting will have to wait until later. He leaves without saying anything else, and when you tell Mila, she says that maybe you can just talk to him in the arena during your match. However, you won't get the chance, since Black Lotus withdraws from the tournament, making you the winner by default. Everyone is upset, but right now the announcers don't have any more to tell them, so they want everyone to stay put until they figure things out. Mila already knows that something shady is going on, which is usually the case when a fighter withdraws, and she plans on figuring out what it is so you can have your match, because winning because your opponent gave up isn't even close to a real win. So the two of you start to ask around. The registrar claims that the Lotus withdrew right after you went into the arena, and he left without giving his reasons. He was headed toward Pearl Lane, so you head there to catch up with him. When you find him, it turns out that you already are very well acquainted with him. The Lotus is Aldous, a legendary gladiator who was banned from the arena and is a longtime friend of Mila's. He's fine with telling you why he withdrew, but he doesn't want you to tell anyone else. After you all dealt with Leovold forever ago, Aldous left Ul'dah and wandered the land. During his travels, he ran into a child, a kid orphaned by the wars, and he helped him out. Once the kid learned who Aldous was, he started following him around and trying to convince him to teach him how to use the sword, and he's been following the man ever since. The Lalafell who wanted him to withdraw thought the boy was Aldous' son and took him hostage to make the man withdraw. Whether it was his kid or not, Aldous wouldn't gamble with any child's life, so he pulled out of the tournament. Mila catches up to you and she's not surprised that the Lotus was Aldous. She recognized his fighting style and she's a little upset that he didn't even send her a letter while he was gone. Bit of advice: if you're in a relationship with a woman who teaches people how to stab people with a sword for a living, never, and I mean never, leave her messages on read. I'm just saying. She wants to know why he came back to Ul'dah, and his sole reason was because he'd heard that you became a free paladin and no one could beat you in a fight. He wanted to see if that was true. When he got back, he heard about the Ul Cup being started back up again, and he figured that if he entered, he'd get his fight with you. If not, he'd just win the thing and leave, because it's not like anyone else could beat him anyway. When he decided to enter, a friend got his invitation for him, then he hit his face and boom, he was in. And all of that effort went to waste because someone wanted to make some money. When he mentions they took his kid, Mila freaks out. Not over the kidnapping. It's Ul'dah, so that type of stuff just means it's a Tuesday. But she freaks out because she thinks Aldous has a kid. He leaves out the rest of the story, partly to mess with her, and partly because he doesn't have time to explain it again. While he kept his word, the kidnappers didn't, so now he has to go rescue the boy. And he could use your help. The three of you split up and ask around to find info on the boy's location. You track the kidnappers down because you do this type of stuff for a living, and after spouting a line from Terminator saying that you want their clothes, their boots, and their chocobo, you proceed to act out the rest of the scene and thoroughly pummel them in. Mila and Aldous show up after you save the boy, who apologizes for being too weak to save himself, then vowing to train until he's as strong as you and Aldous so he can take care of himself. While you did track down the kidnappers, Aldous managed to find the evidence needed to have Ode arrested, so that problem's been taken care of too. Out of all the stuff the two of you said, the only thing Mila heard was that the kid wasn't Aldous' actual son. She's happy about that, but she tries to act like she doesn't care. With the evidence showing that Aldous was forced into withdrawing, it may be possible to get your match back on the books, especially since everyone wanted to see it. Mila rushes off to get it all set up, and it doesn't take much to make the people agree. Everyone shows up to see the match, but Aldous is forced to reveal his face to the crowd before the fighting begins. Despite the fact that he's been expelled from the arena, people still want to see the greatest swordsman of the era fight the Warrior of Light, so the battle is on. Nanamo gives her blessing and the two of you get to it. Godslayer faces off against the Sword of Null, and the man proves to be a warrior worthy of his title. He's a king among warriors, but what is a king to a god? With the battle done, even though he lost, Aldous has to admit that the fight was everything he had hoped for. But you're the champion of the Ul Cup, meaning you've won the prize, a tome with the techniques of the first leader of the Sultan Sworn. There's just one small problem. It doesn't exist. The whole thing was a ruse to lure the best fighters to the arena so people could see different techniques and have something to work toward, just like the first Sultan had done. The tradition had stopped when the royal house no longer had the money to fund it, but now that they have the resources again, Papa Shan figures that all of Eorzea could benefit from what the fighters learn in the arena. That way they'll be better prepared to face off against all of the threats that attack their nation. While that's all well and good, you still deserve a prize, so Nanamo gives you the right to ask her for anything you want. And what you want is for her to pardon Aldous. He'd been banished for taking bribes, something she easily forgives, allowing the Sword of Null to once again freely compete in the arena. This concludes the third part of the Paladin storyline. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and ding that notification bell. And if you want to buy me a coffee for my work, sign up to become a member of the channel. Until next time, guys. Later.